My parents ignored my desperate hospital calls because my sister was throwing a fit over paint colors. So, I had my lawyer come to the ICU, and when they finally showed up, they learned the shocking price of their neglect. What if the people you'd literally die for watched you almost flatline and didn't even bother to show up? That day, my heart stopped, and my family was too busy picking out paint swatches. But what came next wasn't just comeuppance. It was the ultimate liberation, a complete shattering of everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty. The fluorescent lights above me flickered with an almost mocking rhythm, and my vision started blurring at the edges, then swirling inward. I gripped the podium, my knuckles white, trying desperately to steady myself as 40 pairs of eyes, expectant, critical, oblivious, stared back at me from the conference room. Something was wrong. Terribly, horribly wrong. A cold sweat plastered my silk blouse to my skin, even as the room itself felt like it was spinning. And as you can see from the Q3 projections, my voice wavered, a pathetic, reedy whisper that barely made it past my lips. The PowerPoint slides, once so clear and meticulously crafted, began to swim together, transforming into a kaleidoscope of meaningless, terrifying colors. My heart wasn't just racing. It was trying to escape my chest entirely, pounding so hard against my ribs I was sure everyone could hear it, a drumbeat signaling impending disaster. My breath hitched. I felt a suffocating pressure, like an elephant was sitting squarely on my chest, pressing all the air out of my lungs. I'm Sophia, and I was dying right there, in the middle of the most important presentation of my entire career. The irony was so bitter it almost made me want to laugh. "Miss Wells, are you all right?" someone asked from the back. The voice sounded distant, muffled, like it was coming from underwater. I opened my mouth to respond, to assure them I was fine, that I just needed a moment, but no sound came out. My throat felt constricted, my tongue heavy and useless. The room tilted sideways, violently, throwing me off balance, and suddenly I was no longer standing. I was watching the ceiling panels spin above me, a dizzying blur of off-white tiles, as my body crumpled to the floor, a puppet with its strings cut. Voices erupted around me, sharp and panicked. "Call 911! Is she breathing? Clear the room!" A cacophony of sound, but none of it felt real. My assistant, Sarah's face, streaked with what I could already tell was running mascara, appeared above me, her expression a mix of terror and frantic worry. "Sophia, stay with us. The ambulance is coming." Her voice was frantic, a stark contrast to the quiet calm that was starting to envelop me. I tried to reach for my phone, a desperate, last-ditch effort to connect with the people who should have been my anchors, but my arms felt like lead, heavy and unresponsive. Call my parents," I managed to whisper, the words barely a breath, before everything went dark. The world simply ceased to be. The next thing I remember was the cold, an overwhelming, penetrating cold that seeped into my bones, a stark contrast to the burning heat I'd felt just moments before. So much cold, and then, urgent, hushed voices, doctors speaking in tones I couldn't quite decipher, words like cardiac arrhythmia, and immediate surgery filtering through the haze of my consciousness. It was like listening to a conversation through thick glass, just fragments making sense. "Please," I begged the nurse, my voice raspy, barely audible, as she prepped my arm for N4. My arm felt like a foreign object, numb and heavy. "My phone. I need to call my family." She hesitated, her expression softening with a mixture of pity and professional concern, then finally handed me my iPhone. With trembling fingers, I dialed my mother's number. It went straight to voicemail. I tried my father. Same thing. A cold, hard knot formed in my stomach. They should be here. They should be picking up. My texts grew increasingly desperate, each word a plea. "Mom, I'm in the hospital. Dad, please answer. They're taking me to surgery. I'm scared." The nurse gave me a deeply sympathetic look as she gently took my phone away. "We need to go now, honey. You need to save your strength. I'm sure they'll be here when you wake up." Her words were meant to comfort, but they sounded hollow even to her. They weren't. I came to in the ICU hours later, the fluorescent lights above me a harsh, unforgiving glare. I was groggy, disoriented, and utterly, irrevocably alone. The steady, Incessant beep of monitors created a hollow, relentless soundtrack to my isolation, each beep a reminder of how close I'd come to the edge. Sarah had left a crumpled note on my bedside table, her handwriting shaky, saying she'd be back in the morning, but hospital policy only allowed immediate family after hours. Immediate family? What a cruel, bitter joke. The silence in the room was deafening, amplifying the cold, empty ache in my chest that had nothing to do with my surgery. At 3 a.m., a night nurse came to check my vitals. She had kind eyes, a rare warmth in the sterile environment, and a gentle touch as she adjusted my four. Her presence was a small, unexpected comfort. "Your mother left a voicemail earlier," she said softly, reaching for my phone. "Would you like to hear it?" I nodded, a tiny, almost painful flicker of hope igniting in my chest. Perhaps they'd finally come to their senses, realize the gravity of the situation. Perhaps. The nurse played the message, her finger hovering over the phone. My mother's voice, bright and a little breathless, filled the quiet room. "Hi, sweetie. We got your messages, but we can't come right now. Hazel is having an absolute crisis over the color they painted her new apartment. She's inconsolable. You know how she gets. We'll try to stop by tomorrow if she's feeling better. Love you." The message ended, leaving an echoing void. The nurse's face, etched with a mixture of pity and disbelief, said it all. My stomach lurched. The flickering hope in my chest wasn't just crushed, it was obliterated. I turned away, unable to meet her gaze, hot tears sliding silently down my cheeks, burning a path against my cold skin. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the public humiliation, the stark reality laid bare for a complete stranger. "Would you like me to call someone else for you?" she asked softly, her voice filled with genuine concern. A memory, sharp and painful, flashed through my mind. Last Christmas, when I'd written a check for $50,000 to cover Hazel's latest credit card debt. My mother had barely looked up from helping Hazel arrange her new designer handbag collection, completely oblivious to the weight of my sacrifice. "Thanks, Sophie. You're such a good sister. Good sister, good daughter, good ATM." The bitter truth of that internal monologue solidified, crystallizing in my gut. My chest felt tight, a throbbing pain that had nothing to do with surgical incisions. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand, the tears still flowing, but now fueled by a slow-burning anger rather than raw sadness. I looked at the nurse, my decision hardening. "Actually, yes. Could you hand me my phone? I need to call my lawyer." She passed me the phone, concern evident in her expression, but a flicker of something else, perhaps admiration, crossed her face. My hands, which had been shaking uncontrollably moments ago, were steady now as I scrolled through my contacts and pressed call. The tremor was gone, replaced by a cold, unwavering resolve. "Derek, it's Sophia. I know it's late, probably the middle of the night for you, but I need you. Bring the papers, all of them." "Yes, I'm sure. I'm in the ICU at Mount Sinai, recovering from emergency heart surgery." I paused, listening to his shocked, concerned response on the other end. "No, my family isn't here, Derek. That's exactly why I'm calling." After hanging up, I stared at the ceiling, my heart monitor beeping in a new, defiant rhythm, a syncopated beat with my burgeoning resolve. I'd almost died today, flatlined right there in a conference room, and my sister's paint color crisis had taken precedence. My dying had taken a back seat to an apartment renovation. 20 years of similar moments didn't just crash over me like a wave, they hit me like a tsunami, a relentless battering of memories. Hazel's histrionic tantrums at my college graduation, overshadowing my achievement. My parents missing my company's successful launch party because Hazel had a particularly bad date and needed their emotional support. The countless, endless times I'd cleaned up her messes, covered her debts, appeased her demands, while my own achievements, my own life, collected dust, deemed secondary and unimportant. My phone buzzed again, a jarring vibration against the quiet. An Instagram notification. Hazel had just posted a selfie with our parents, all three of them huddled around paint swatches, beaming. The caption read, "Worst day ever. Thank God for family support. #blessed #family #crisis." The sheer audacity, the blatant disregard for my situation, made my jaw clench. I clicked off my phone and closed my eyes, feeling something hard and cold crystallize in my chest. It wasn't my heart this time. It was a core of pure, unshakable determination. A quiet, burning rage that felt strangely empowering. Tomorrow, Derek would help me start dismantling everything I'd painstakingly built for them, brick by selfless brick. And for the first time in my life, I wouldn't feel a single pang of guilt about it. Not one. Derek arrived at 9 a.m. sharp the next morning, his leather briefcase bulging with documents, his usual impeccable suit looking a little rumpled, a testament to his hurried arrival. He took one look at me, hooked up to monitors, my skin still a sickly pale from surgery, and his professional demeanor, usually so unyielding, visibly cracked. "Jesus, Sophia, you look like hell." He ran a hand through his hair, clearly distressed. "Thanks. Always knew I could count on you for honesty." I managed a weak, almost non-existent smile. The truth was, his genuine concern was a balm, a stark contrast to my parents' performative platitudes. "Did you bring everything?" He pulled up a hard plastic chair, the kind hospitals provide, and started laying out papers on my bedside table, a strange juxtaposition of legal documents and medical equipment. "Everything you asked for, and then some. But are you sure about this, Soph? It's aggressive. Incredibly aggressive. My heart literally stopped yesterday, Derek, and my family was too busy picking paint swatches to care, let alone show up. My own flesh and blood chose a trivial aesthetic crisis over my life. I'd say aggressive is exactly what the situation calls for." My voice was flat, devoid of emotion, but laced with an unyielding steel. Derek nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. He didn't need any convincing. We'd been friends since college, and he'd witnessed plenty of my family's self-serving behavior over the years. He'd seen the toll it took on me, the quiet erosion of my self-worth. "All right, let's start with the will changes. Let's get through this." For the next hour, we methodically worked through the documents, each signature a small but significant act of rebellion, a carving out of my own identity. My signature grew steadier with each page, no longer the shaky scrawl of a woman betrayed, but the firm hand of someone reclaiming control. It felt like my hand knew this was right, even if my heart still ached with the residual pain of old wounds. But the ache was fading, replaced by a quiet sense of purpose. "So that's your parents removed as beneficiaries," Derek said, shuffling the first stack of papers into a neat pile. "Next is revoking their access to your accounts, the ones you've been using to support Hazel's extravagant lifestyle, the emergency funds you created for her." A painful memory surfaced. Last summer, standing in my parents' pristine kitchen, holding Hazel's latest credit card statement, the numbers a horrifying tally of designer clothes and lavish dinners. "It's only $70,000 this time," Mom had said, not even bothering to look up from her glossy magazine. "You know how hard things have been for her since that breakup, Sophia. She needs us." The casual expectation, the complete lack of acknowledgement for my endless sacrifices. It infuriated me all over again. "Do it," I told Derek, my voice clear and firm. "All of it," without hesitation. He pulled out another stack of papers, the sheer volume a testament to how deeply entangled my life had become with theirs. "And the vacation house, the one your parents spend every summer in? List it today if possible. I already spoke to an agent. Your parents' idyllic summer retreat, entirely funded by my efforts, my money." "Not anymore." My phone buzzed, startling me. A text from Mom. Hazel picked the perfect shade of sage. "Crisis averted. How are you feeling, sweetie? We're so relieved everything is okay now." The brazenness of it, the absolute tone deafness, was breathtaking. I showed it to Derek, who let out a low whistle, a look of incredulous disgust on his face. "That's something else. Unbelievable." "Watch this," I said, a cold, hard glint in my eyes, opening the family group chat. My fingers flew across the keyboard, typing faster than I thought possible, each word a carefully aimed dart. "Still in ICU after emergency heart surgery? Thanks for asking. So relieved Hazel's walls are sage instead of seafoam. Definitely worth missing your daughter's near-death experience for. My doctor says my heart is strong enough to handle this level of BS now, so don't hold back." Derek raised an eyebrow, a slight smirk playing on his lips. "Poking the bear, are we?" "More like waking it up," I replied, a dark satisfaction blooming in my chest. They've been hibernating in their bubble of denial for far too long. It's time for a rude awakening. My phone immediately erupted with notifications, a barrage of angry, defensive replies. Mom, don't be dramatic, Sophie. You're fine. Dad, the doctor said you're stable, princess. We'll visit soon, when things calm down. Hazel, OMG, why are you trying to make my apartment crisis about you? Seriously, you always do this. I turned my phone face down, the screen dark, the notifications still buzzing beneath my palm, a testament to the chaos I had unleashed. Keep going with the papers, Derek. We have work to do. By noon, we drafted everything needed to legally separate my finances from my family's parasitic attachment. Derek was packing up his briefcase when my friend Camila burst in looking like an avenging angel, carrying a real, steaming coffee and radiating pure, unadulterated fury. I just saw Hazel's Instagram story, she announced, her voice tight with suppressed rage, handing me the coffee. She's doing a full home renovation reveal, tagging everything #blessed, #new beginnings, #family support. Not a single, solitary mention that her sister almost died yesterday. Not even a thoughts and prayers. Of course not, I said, taking a fortifying sip of the delicious, non-hospital coffee. That would require acknowledging someone else's existence outside of her carefully curated world. I've got the papers ready to file, Derek said, standing, his expression grim but resolute. But I'll hold them until tomorrow morning, sophomore, just to give you a bit more time to think it through. This is a lot to process. I shook my head, my resolve unwavering. File them now, Derek. Don't wait. I've had 38 years to think it through, to process, to agonize. My mind is crystal clear. After they left, I scrolled through my phone one last time. Hazel had posted again, a sickeningly cheerful boomerang of her twirling in her newly painted living room. Mom and Dad were in the background, applauding her, looking like proud parents at a performance. The caption read, "Sometimes it takes a village. So grateful for parents who drop everything to help in a crisis. #blessed, #paint day, #family first." My fingers hovered over the comment button, contemplating a scathing reply. Instead, I opened my email and composed a message to my entire professional and personal contact list. Dear friends and colleagues, I'm currently in the ICU at Mount Sinai, recovering from emergency heart surgery. While I'm stable now, it was a close call, a life-altering experience. I'm sharing this not for sympathy, but for transparency about why I'll be out of office for a while, and to offer a valuable, albeit painful, lesson. Yesterday, I learned something profound about family. Sometimes, the ones who should be there aren't. And sometimes, that stark, undeniable absence is the wake-up call you desperately need to finally choose yourself. Best, Sophia. I hit send, the click of the button echoing with finality, then turned off my phone completely. Let them deal with the fallout of their choices being made public. Let them face the whispers and the judgment. I was done covering for them, done protecting their fragile image, done being their silent, enabling enabler. A nurse came in a few minutes later to check my vitals, glancing at the stack of signed papers Derek had left behind. "Big decisions today, honey?" she asked, her kind eyes full of understanding. "Life-changing ones," I replied, a small, genuine smile touching my lips for the first time in days. "Your heart rate's much stronger," she noted, checking the monitor. I looked out the window at the familiar Manhattan skyline, feeling lighter than I had in years, as if a monumental weight had been lifted from my shoulders. "Yeah," I said, my voice soft but firm. "I think it finally remembered how to beat for itself instead of everyone else." She patted my hand gently and left, leaving me in the quiet of my hospital room. In that newfound silence, I could have sworn I heard the faint, distant sound of bridges burning, and it sounded not like destruction, but like pure, unadulterated freedom. 3 agonizing days after my surgery, my parents finally graced me with their presence. It wasn't an arrival so much as an event. Mom swept in, wearing her signature Hermes scarf, perfectly coiffed, carrying a magnificent, sprawling bouquet of lilies that probably cost more than my hospital bill. It was all a performance, every gesture carefully choreographed. Dad trailed behind her, looking distinctly uncomfortable and out of place in the stark, sterile environment of the ICU, clutching a crumpled copy of the Wall Street Journal. "Oh, darling," Mom exclaimed, her voice a little too loud, a little too bright, as if we were meeting for a casual lunch rather than her visiting her daughter post-cardiac event. She leaned in, inspecting my face. "These fluorescent lights are absolutely brutal on your complexion, sweetie. You look so drained." "Nearly dying tends to do that, Mom," I replied flatly, my voice devoid of any warmth, deliberately cutting through her superficiality. My eyes locked onto hers, daring her to acknowledge the truth. Dad cleared his throat, always the peacemaker, the one trying to smooth over uncomfortable realities. "Now, Princess, no need for that tone. We're here now, aren't we?" 3 days later, I thought, the words burning on my tongue but remaining unspoken. Mom, clearly unwilling to engage with the uncomfortable reality of my near-death experience, busied herself arranging the lilies in a vase, filling the oppressive silence with trivial chatter. Hazel wanted to come, you know. She was quite upset, but she's still dealing with the contractor. Such a nightmare. They completely botched the crown molding in her living room. She's been crying all morning, absolutely inconsolable. I pressed the morphine button on my 4, not for physical pain, but for a much-needed shot of patience. My emotional reserves were running dangerously low. "Where is Hazel anyway?" Dad asked, looking around the room as if his precious golden child might materialize from behind the curtain, ready to steal the spotlight. "Probably posting about her crown molding crisis on Instagram," I said, a dry, bitter edge to my voice. "Did you know her story about paint swatches got more attention than my emergency surgery announcement? Her followers are just devastated about the wrong shade of sage." Mom's hand stilled on the flowers, her perfect facade cracking just a millimeter. "Sophia, please. You know how sensitive she is. She's been absolutely beside herself about your situation." "My situation?" I repeated, pushing the words out slowly, deliberately. "You mean my heart stopping? My literal brush with death? Or the public embarrassment your choices have caused you?" A timely, almost cinematic knock at the door saved them from responding. Derek entered, impeccable in his suit, carrying a sleek leather portfolio. My mother's face surprisingly lit up. She'd always harbored a secret hope that Derek and I would end up together, seeing him as a suitable match for me. "Derek, how lovely to see you. Are you here to check on our girl? She's been ever so dramatic." "Actually," he said, walking directly to my bedside, his gaze firm and professional, bypassing my parents entirely, "I'm here in my professional capacity, Mrs. Wells." He handed me a folder. I opened it slowly, savoring the moment, feeling a cold, righteous power surge through me. "Mom, Dad, you remember Derek's my lawyer, right? My personal lawyer." The color drained from my mother's face, leaving her porcelain skin even whiter. Dad's forced, placating smile flickered, then died completely. "These are copies of documents I filed yesterday," I continued, my voice steady, betraying none of the internal tremors I felt. "I've removed you both from my will, revoked your access to all my accounts, effective immediately, and the vacation house in Florida. It's been listed for sale. With an aggressive offer price, Derek assures me it will move quickly." The house," Dad stammered, his face crumpling. "But where will we go in the summer?" "That's our family retreat." "Not my concern," I stated, the words like ice. Mom's perfectly manicured hand flew to her throat, her eyes wide with theatrical shock. "Sophia, you can't be serious. We're family. You wouldn't do this to us." "Family," I scoffed, and the heart monitor, almost as if sensing my internal rage, betrayed a sharp spike in my anger, a rapid staccato beat. "Let me tell you about family, Mom. Last month, I paid off Hazel's $70,000 credit card debt. The month before that, I covered her rent when she conveniently forgot to pay it for 3 months. Last year, I funded her failed jewelry business, pouring in hundreds of thousands that she blew through in weeks. Want to know what I got in return for my loyalty, my dedication, my constant willingness to sacrifice my own life for yours? When my heart stopped and I needed you most, when I literally faced death alone in a hospital, you chose paint swatches over your dying daughter. Over me. That's not fair, Princess." Dad protested weakly, his voice barely a whisper, finally finding his voice, but it was pathetic. "No, What's not fair is that I've spent my entire adult life being your backup plan, your safety net, your human ATM, always there to clean up Hazel's messes and bail her out of her self-made crises. Well, guess what? The Bank of Sophia is officially closed. Permanently. Derek handed them each a stack of papers, his expression unreadable. These detail the changes. I'd suggest reading them carefully. You'll also find the notice for the restraining order against Hazel. Mom's hands shook violently as she flipped through the documents, her eyes darting across the pages. This is ridiculous. You won't go through with this, Sophia. Family sticks together. You know that. I looked her directly in the eyes, my gaze unwavering. If that's true, Mom, how come I almost died alone? How come you weren't here? The silence that followed was deafening, heavy with the weight of unspoken accusations. The house is already listed, Derek added quietly, breaking the tension, his voice calm and authoritative. We expect it to sell quickly in this market. The agent has already received multiple inquiries. Dad sank into a plastic chair, the papers crumpling uselessly in his grip, looking utterly defeated, his face pale and drawn. Princess, please, let's talk about this rationally. We can fix this, darling. I had plenty of time to think rationally while lying here alone for 3 days, Dad, I said, my voice hardening, echoing with the lingering pain of abandonment. Did you know the nurses took turns sitting with me after surgery because they felt bad that I had no family here? Complete strangers, people I'd never met before, showed more concern, more basic human decency than my own parents. That's the family you chose to be. Mom's perfect mascara, despite her efforts, was starting to run, leaving dark streaks down her cheeks. You're being dramatic, Sophia. We came as soon as we could. After Hazel's pain crisis was resolved, I corrected, a sharp, bitter edge to my tone. Check your priorities, Mom. Better yet, check your phone. I'm sure Hazel's having another meltdown about crown molding right now, or something equally trivial. As if on cue, Mom's phone buzzed. She glanced at it instinctively, her eyes widening. Go ahead, I said, a cruel, cold satisfaction coiling in my gut. Answer it. We both know you will. It's always been about her, hasn't it? She stood abruptly, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands, avoiding my gaze. This isn't over, Sophia. You're upset, you're not thinking clearly. We'll discuss this when you're feeling better, when you're more rational. Actually, we won't. There's nothing left to discuss. I pressed the call button on the nurse's call pad beside my bed. Nurse, I'm ready for my rest now. Could you please escort my visitors out? As hospital security, a precaution Derek had prearranged, discreetly but firmly escorted them out. I heard Mom's voice crack, a desperate, wailing sound. She can't do this. She's our daughter. She's our flesh and blood. No, I whispered to the empty room, the last lingering echo of her voice fading. I'm just the backup daughter you never wanted, but always needed. And I quit. I officially quit. The monitor showed my heart rate returning to a steady, calm rhythm, stronger than it had been in years, like it knew this was just the beginning of my true independent life. My phone rang at 3 a.m. exactly, a jarring, unwelcome sound in the quiet of my hospital room. Hazel's name flashed across the screen, a beacon of her predictable self-absorption. I answered, a morbid curiosity overriding any desire for peace. How dare you? Her voice crackled with raw, unadulterated rage, a screech that made me pull the phone away from my ear. How dare you do this to Mom and Dad? They're completely distraught. Good morning to you too, Hazel. How's the crown molding crisis going? Found a good contractor yet? I asked, my voice calm, almost unnervingly so. Don't you dare be sarcastic with me, Sophia. They're devastated. Mom hasn't stopped crying since they left, and Dad had to take a Xanax, for God's sake. I adjusted my hospital bed to sit up straighter, a strange sense of detachment settling over me. Interesting how they can have such strong reactions to consequences, but couldn't muster any genuine concern when I was literally dying in a hospital bed. Funny, isn't it? Oh my God, you're not dying. Stop being so dramatic, you always are. My heart stopped, Hazel. Actually stopped beating. But please, by all means, tell me more about your pain emergency. I'm sure it was far more pressing. She made a sound somewhere between a frustrated scream and a pathetic sob. You need to fix this, Sophia. Call Derek right now and undo everything. You can't just cut us off. Or what? I challenged, my voice even. Or, she sputtered, her usual manipulative cadence breaking. Or I'll never speak to you again. You'll lose your family. I laughed, a genuine, unforced laugh that surprised even myself. It felt good, a cleansing sound that had been absent for too long. Is that supposed to be a threat, Hazel? Because after this past week, I'm not sure that's a punishment. The line went quiet for a moment, the silence thick with her disbelief. When Hazel spoke again, her voice had that familiar, sickly sweet manipulative tremor, the one that usually preceded her getting exactly what she wanted. Remember when we were kids, Sophia? You promised to always take care of me, your little sister. You swore it. A memory, sharp and vivid, flashed through my mind. I was 12, Hazel 6. She had, with gleeful malice, destroyed my science fair project the night before the presentation, dumping an entire bottle of glitter glue all over weeks of meticulous work. Mom, instead of holding Hazel accountable, had blamed me for not sharing my supplies, for being too competitive. It was a pattern that began early, and it had never truly ended. Actually, I do remember, I said, my voice hardening. I remember a lot of things, Hazel. Like how I sold Grandma's ring, my only inheritance, the one thing she left just for me, to bail you out of gambling debt 3 years ago. Remember what you said then? Thanks, sis. You're the best. Right before you went on a lavish shopping spree with Mom, celebrating your escape from your poor choices. That's different. I needed. You always need, Hazel. And I'm always expected to provide, to clean up your messes, to sacrifice my own well-being for your endless whims. Well, guess what? That expectation, that obligation, that promise from a naive 12-year-old, it's gone. I'm done. Mom wants to meet, she said, abruptly changing tactics, sensing her usual ploys were failing. One last family meeting. To talk things through. Rationally. I considered this. A part of me, the old, wounded part, still craved resolution and understanding. Fine. Tomorrow at noon, the hospital cafeteria. But my conditions are non-negotiable. Take it or leave it. No hysterics, no ultimatums. Just a conversation. She agreed, grudgingly, but I wasn't done. And Hazel, I'm bringing Camila. Your annoying friend. Why? Her voice rose in pitch, indignant. Because I'm done being outnumbered, Hazel. I'm done being cornered and manipulated. Camila is my witness, and she's not afraid to call out your bullshit. The next day, Mom and Dad arrived first, looking surprisingly disheveled, like they hadn't slept a wink, their carefully constructed facades crumbling under the pressure. Hazel swept in 10 minutes late, making her usual dramatic entrance, wearing oversized designer sunglasses indoors and clutching an iced latte like it was her literal life support. Camila, my rock, sat beside me, radiating a protective energy that made me feel a little less exposed. She'd known my family dynamics for years, witnessing the quiet abuses, and had always been my voice of reason, my moral compass. Sophia, Mom began, her voice strained, reaching across the cafeteria table, her hand hovering awkwardly. Let's talk about this rationally, sweetie. Calmly. We can fix this. Rational. Camila interjected, her voice sharp, cutting through the saccharine tone. Like ignoring your daughter's emergency surgery for a paint color crisis? Is that rational, Mrs. Wells? This is a family matter, Camila. Stay out of it. Hazel snapped, whirling on my friend, her sunglasses askew. Funny, I said, leaning forward slightly, my voice steady and clear. I was family when you needed your credit cards paid off, when you needed a loan for your failed business, when you needed endless emotional babysitting. Now suddenly I'm not? Now, when I demand basic respect and accountability, it's not a family matter. Dad raised his hands, the classic placating gesture, looking utterly exhausted. Princess, we understand you're hurt, truly. But this revenge, it's beneath you. You're better than this. Revenge. I leaned forward further, meeting his gaze directly. This isn't revenge, Dad. This is boundaries. This is me finally saying no. This is me choosing my own well-being over your endless, self-serving drama. You're being selfish. Hazel slammed her latte down, the plastic cup rattling violently on the table. Do you know what this is doing to me? My anxiety is through the roof. My followers can tell something's wrong. My image is being ruined. Camila snorted, a derisive sound. Your sister almost died, Hazel, and you're worried about your Instagram aesthetic and your anxiety. Seriously, stay out of this, you meddling bitch. Hazel shrieked, her face contorted in a mask of pure rage, her carefully cultivated composure completely shattered. She whirled on Camila. This is your fault. You've always tried to turn her against us. You're jealous. No, I cut in, my voice sharp, powerful. You did that all by yourselves, Hazel. You, Mom, and Dad. Your choices, your neglect, your entitlement. Not Camila. Not me. Mom started crying then, her practiced tears flowing right on schedule, her perfectly made-up face streaked with mascara. We can fix this, sweetie. Please. Just call Derek. Just tell him to stop everything. Sophia. Please. Stop. My voice was steel, unyielding. It's too late. The house is already in escrow. The accounts are closed. It's done. And there's no going back. Hazel stood up so fast her chair toppled backward with a loud crash, drawing stares from other cafeteria patrons. You ungrateful, manipulative! She grabbed her iced latte, her hand shaking, and with a guttural scream, threw it directly at Camila, who, with surprising agility, barely dodged the cup. The lukewarm coffee splattered against the wall behind her, a brown stain on the sterile white. The entire cafeteria went silent, a collective gasp. Security, already discreetly positioned, approached quickly, their faces grim. And that, I said quietly, my voice resonating with a chilling calm, is exactly why this is happening. This right here, Hazel. This is you. As security swiftly and firmly escorted Hazel out, her enraged screams echoing down the hallway. You can't do this. You'll regret this. I turned to my parents, who sat frozen, mouths agape. We're done here. There is nothing left to say. Sophia, please. Mom tried one last, desperate plea, her voice choked with sobs. No. I'm going to be discharged tomorrow. And when I leave this hospital, I'm leaving this dysfunction behind, too. All of it. Permanently. I stood up, Camila steady beside me, a comforting hand on my back. Oh, and one more thing. I've instructed my lawyer to file a restraining order against Hazel. Consider this her first and last warning. If she attempts to contact me or Camila, or if she tries anything like that again, there will be serious legal consequences. Walking back to my room, the weight of the past few days, the past few decades, finally began to lift. Camila squeezed my hand. You okay, Soph? That was intense. I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in years, as if I could float. You know what's funny, Cam? My heart's actually beating better now that I've stopped letting them break it. Behind us, I could faintly hear Hazel's distant, furious screams mixing with Mom's heartbroken sobs. It was the sound of consequences finally catching up to them all, a symphony of their own making. The Florida house, the supposed family retreat, sold in a record 3 days, well above asking price. I signed the final papers from my new apartment in California, where I'd been recovering for the past week, soaking up the quiet peace. Derek sat across from me, his expression satisfied, sliding over a cashier's check. $4,200,000, he said, the numbers almost surreal. What are you going to do with it, Sophia? First, I'm hiring an estate sale company to clear out the entire house. Everything goes, Derek. Every single item. Including the piano. My hand stilled over the check, a fleeting pang of sadness. The baby grand piano. My childhood sanctuary, where I'd spent countless hours finding solace in music. Mom had given it to Hazel on her 16th birthday, a lavish gesture, despite knowing full well that I was the only one in the family who played, especially the piano. It was just another symbol of her favoritism, her constant undermining of my passions. My phone buzzed, pulling me from the memory. A news alert. Local woman, removed from luxury boutique after altercation with staff, accused of aggressive behavior. The thumbnail showed Hazel being escorted out by security, her mascara running down her face, her carefully constructed glamour completely undone. Your sister's making headlines again, Derek noted, peering at my screen, a dry amusement in his voice. She always wanted to be famous, didn't she? I forwarded the article to Camila, who replied instantly. Karma's working overtime, babe. And it's glorious. The estate sale company arrived the next day. I watched via FaceTime as Marie, the woman in charge, meticulously cataloged everything, marking prices on pieces of my past. It was strangely cathartic, watching strangers assign monetary value to what had been, for me, a lifetime of emotional baggage. Marie held up a familiar, ornate jewelry box. What about this? It looks like it might be an antique. Inside, I knew, was the empty space where my grandmother's ring had once lived before I'd sold it to cover Hazel's latest gambling debts years ago. Sell it, I said, my voice firm. Everything goes. I want nothing left. Sophia, a shrill voice screeched from off-camera, startling Marie and making me jump. Hazel had somehow gotten past security, a testament to her sheer determination when she wanted something. You can't sell Mom's anniversary china. Or the silver. Marie, unflappable, turned the camera, showing Hazel frantically trying to grab items off a table, her face red with fury. Should I call the police again, Miss Wells? Marie asked calmly. Immediately, I replied. I watched as Hazel was removed once more, this time screaming about family heirlooms and betrayal as she was led away. My phone immediately lit up with texts from Mom. How could you sell our memories? Your father is heartbroken. That piano was for Hazel. We're still your family, Sophia. You can't do this. I blocked their numbers without a second thought. The constant barrage was exhausting, and I needed peace. Later that afternoon, Derek called, his voice tense. We have a situation, Sophia. Hazel tried to file for temporary conservatorship over you. She what? Disbelief warred with a grim sort of amusement. The audacity was truly boundless. She's claiming your cardiac event affected your mental capacity. Says your erratic behavior, meaning everything you've done to cut them off, proves you're unfit to manage your own affairs. I laughed, a short, sharp sound, but there was no humor in it. Let me guess. She's volunteering to manage my money for me, isn't she? Got it in one. Sophomore, don't worry, it's ridiculous. No judge would uphold something so baseless, especially with her own history. I interrupted, my voice hard, cold steel. Make it expensive for her, Derek. Drag it out. And Derek, countersue for harassment, for emotional distress, for wasting the court's time. The estate sale started officially on Saturday. I watched the security cameras from my phone, a strange sense of detachment as strangers picked through what had once been my family's carefully curated image. The piano went first, purchased by a local music school. Perfect. It would be used, loved, cherished, not just a dusty monument to my sister's unfulfilled potential. My phone pinged with an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line made my blood run cold. Your father's medical records. What is this? I asked Derek over speakerphone, my voice suddenly tight with a primal fear. Derek, what is this? Open it, Sophia. You need to see this. Inside was a single, chilling line. Dad had a heart condition, too. Your mother never told you. Below it, a single initial, H. My heart, my new, stronger heart, skipped a painful beat, a visceral reaction to the ultimate betrayal. They knew. Is this true, Derek? My voice was barely a whisper. I had it verified, Derek said quietly, his voice full of a sorrowful understanding. Your father has the same condition. It's genetic. And Hazel, she's been monitored for it since childhood, received regular screenings, has a preventative care plan in place. They've known all along, Sophia. They knew you could have inherited this. And they never told you. They protected Hazel, but not you. Never you. The room spun. The floor seemed to drop out from beneath me. The betrayal was so deep, so fundamental, it left me breathless. They had let me believe I was perfectly healthy, let me walk unknowingly towards my own potential demise, all to protect their golden child from discomfort or responsibility. Derek! My voice was steady now, despite the trembling in my hands, a cold, unwavering fury replacing the shock. Remember when you said the conservatorship claim was ridiculous, that it wouldn't stand up in court? Yes. Prove it. Release my medical records to the court. Show them I'm not only competent, I'm thriving post-surgery. And then leak the fact that they knew about this genetic condition and deliberately withheld the information from me. To the press. To anyone who will listen. Sophia, that's nuclear, he warned, his voice grave. They nearly let me die, Derek. They actively chose to withhold life-saving information from me. Nuclear feels appropriate. More than appropriate. It feels like justice. As we hung up, another notification popped up. A certified letter from Hazel's lawyer. I opened the attachment, expecting more threats, more legal bluster. Instead, I found myself staring at a photo. Me at 12, standing protectively beside a 6-year-old Hazel, my arm wrapped around her small shoulders. On the back, in my mother's elegant handwriting, "My girls, forever inseparable." Below it, Hazel had scrawled a chilling message. "Remember who you're supposed to be. My protector, my sister. Don't make me destroy you." The audacity, the twisted sense of entitlement, the thinly veiled threat, even now was astounding. I forwarded the threat to Derek, then opened my laptop. It was time. Time to tell my story. All of it. The decades of manipulation, the financial abuse, the emotional neglect, and now the medical betrayal. No names, just truth. Raw, unvarnished truth. As I typed, each word a painful excavation of my past, I remembered something my grandmother had told me before she died. A quiet wisdom that resonated deeply now. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do, little one, is stop protecting people from the consequences of their own actions. My fingers flew across the keyboard, each word a brick in the impenetrable wall I was building between my past and my future. Let them come. Let them threaten. I wasn't their protector anymore. I was finally, fiercely, unequivocally my own. My blog post went live at midnight. By 6 a.m. the next morning, my phone was buzzing incessantly, my inbox overflowing. It had over 100,000 shares. A story of family toxicity and survival, when the golden child takes everything, read one shared headline. I hadn't named names, but anyone who knew us would recognize the truth in the heartbreaking, infuriating details. Camila called first, her voice a mix of awe and vindication. "Have you seen Twitter? You're trending, Soph. Hashtag Golden Child Syndrome is everywhere." I refreshed my feed, my heart pounding with a different kind of adrenaline. Thousands of comments, most from people sharing eerily similar stories of family dysfunction, of being the scapegoat for a favored sibling. "Your mother's country club friends are having a field day, apparently," Camila continued, barely suppressing a laugh. "She had to leave her tennis match early because everyone was whispering. She's absolutely mortified." My phone buzzed again. Nicholas, Hazel's on-again, off-again boyfriend. His voice was strained, panicked. "Your sister's losing it, Sophia," he said without preamble. "She's been screaming for hours, throwing things. I can't handle this anymore. She's completely unhinged." "Not my problem, Nicholas," I said, a cold detachment in my voice. "She says you're lying about everything, Sophia, that you're just jealous of her success, her happiness." I laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Ask her about Dad's heart condition, Nicholas. Ask her why they never told me I could die from the same thing that almost killed me last month. Ask her why they kept it secret while she got preferential treatment." Silence on the line. A heavy, stunned silence. Then a ragged gasp. They knew since we were kids? Hazel got tested. I didn't even know it ran in the family. Jesus Christ. He exhaled heavily, a sound of profound disillusionment. "I'm done. Tell Derek I'll testify about her behavior if he needs me to. About all of their behavior." By noon, the story had made local news, then national tabloids. Prominent families' dirty laundry aired, a tale of medical neglect and financial abuse. They didn't use our names directly, but they didn't need to. The thinly veiled details were enough. Dad's phone call came next, his voice shaking with humiliation and barely contained rage. "Princess, please. They're asking me to step down from the country club board. This is ruining everything. Tragic, Dad. Almost as tragic as not telling your daughter she had a potentially fatal heart condition, isn't it?" My voice was calm, almost bored. "We were trying to protect you from worry, Sophia. You don't understand. No, you were trying to protect Hazel from responsibility, from discomfort. from anything that might disrupt her gilded life as usual. You wanted to protect yourselves from any fallout. My voice hardened. Your mother's devastated, is she? Our friends are finally seeing who you really are, not the perfect family you've pretended to be. Derek called with more updates. Hazel's conservatorship attempt was thrown out of court. The judge actually laughed, Sophia, he reported, a touch of amusement in his voice. Called it the most brazen attempt at financial opportunism he'd seen in years. But there's more. She sent a cease and desist letter claiming your blog post caused her irreparable trauma. Perfect, I said, a grim smile on my face. Counter with the medical records, Derek. Give them everything. Already did, sophomore. Her lawyer withdrew the letter in under an hour, said they had no further basis to pursue litigation. I was reviewing transfer paperwork for my assets, consolidating everything into new, secure accounts when my email pinged. A message from Nicholas. Thought you should see this. She doesn't know I recorded it. The attached video showed Hazel in her meticulously redecorated apartment, raging at our parents. A raw, venomous tirade. Fix this. Make her stop. I can't take people looking at me like this. Do something. Then Mom's voice, weaker, pleading. Darling, we're trying, but... And Hazel, her voice rising to a furious scream. Try harder. I'm the one who matters. I'm your real daughter. The video cut off abruptly. The clarity, the confirmation of their twisted priorities, was undeniable. I forwarded it to Derek with one word. Leverage. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. A photo of my grandmother's ring, the one I'd sold to help Hazel, lying on a plush velvet cushion. Missing something, the text read. Who is this? I typed back, a knot of confusion forming in my stomach. Someone who bought it from the pawn shop. Want it back. Meet me. I blocked the number and immediately called Derek. They're getting desperate, Derek. Truly desperate. Good, he said, his voice firm and reassuring. Because I just filed the harassment suit. Sophia. And the ring thing? That was amateur hour. I bought your grandmother's ring back months ago. It's been in my safe waiting for you. Tears pricked my eyes. Hot and unexpected. You did. Of course, sophomore. I knew you'd want it back someday. It's rightfully yours. The sheer kindness, the thoughtfulness of his act, was a stark contrast to the endless self-interest I'd known. That evening, my blog post hit national news, the story of my family's toxicity and my fight for survival echoing across the country. My inbox flooded with interview requests. Producers from Dr. Phil called twice. Then came Mom's voicemail. She was crying, screaming, apologizing, pleading, all in the same breath. A frantic, desperate cacophony. Please, sweetie, we can fix this. Tell everyone you were confused, that you made it up. Please, Sophia, we're your family. Don't do this to us. I played it for Camila over wine, watching her expression as the message unfolded. Wow, she said, genuinely surprised. She actually sounds sincere, sophomore. She's not, I replied, a chilling clarity in my voice. Listen carefully, Camila. She's not saying she's sorry for what they did. She's sorry they got caught. It's a very different apology. My phone buzzed again, a news alert. Local socialite has public meltdown at charity gala. The photo showed Hazel, yet again, being escorted out by security, this time throwing drinks at paparazzi outside a Manhattan restaurant. Your sister's really committing to this spiral, isn't she? Camila observed, taking a sip of wine. She's never truly faced consequences before. She doesn't know how to handle them. I opened my laptop and began typing again. Not another blog post. This time it was an email to my realtor in California. Subject line, looking for properties in Laguna Beach. Running away? Camila asked, reading over my shoulder. No, I replied, thinking of the grandmother's ring waiting in Derek's safe and the vast, open ocean that awaited me. Running towards something better. As if on cue, Mom's number flashed on my phone. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the urge to answer. Some bridges aren't meant to be repaired. Some fires need to burn until there's nothing left but truth in the ashes. The family home, the grand colonial facade that had housed so many carefully curated lies, looked smaller than I remembered. Almost pathetic, really. I stood in the driveway, a strange mix of dread and anticipation churning in my gut, keys in hand, staring at the place that had been both my sanctuary and my cage. "Want me to go in first?" Camila asked from beside me, her presence a solid, comforting anchor. "No," I said, taking a deep breath. "I need to do this myself. I need to walk through those doors one last time on my own terms." I'd come to collect the last of my truly personal belongings before the move to California. Derek had arranged for a police presence, just in case, and the cruiser parked discreetly down the street still felt surreal, an absurd final touch to an absurd family drama. The front door, usually so heavily guarded against the outside world, opened before I could even use my key. Mom stood there, looking utterly diminished, her perfect makeup gone, her hair disheveled, revealing the raw, exposed nerves beneath her polished exterior. "You brought security?" Her voice cracked, tinged with disbelief and a wounded pride. "You brought police." "I brought witnesses, Mom," I corrected, my voice firm, nodding toward Camila and the police officer now walking purposefully up the drive. Dad appeared behind her, his face pale and strained. "Princess, this is utterly unnecessary. We're your family." "After Hazel's latest stunt," I said, referring to her public breakdowns and threats, "I'd say it's very necessary. More than necessary, in fact." They stepped aside, defeated, letting us enter. The house smelled faintly of desperation, and as always, Chanel No. 5, Mom's signature scent, often intensified when she was stressed and frantically cleaning to control her environment. "I'm here for my things," I said, heading directly toward the stairs. No preamble, no niceties. Just my childhood photos, some personal documents, and anything else of mine that might still be here. "Wait!" Mom called out, her voice pleading. "Sophia, there's something you need to know first. Something important." I turned, my gaze unwavering, watching her twist her wedding ring, a nervous habit, her tell for incoming manipulation, for a lie she was about to tell. "You should sit down for this, sweetie." "I'll stand, Mom. Say what you need to say." She exchanged a tense, worried look with Dad, who nodded slightly, giving her silent permission. "It's about your adoption." The words hung in the air like a poisonous cloud, suffocating, chilling me to the bone. Camila instinctively grabbed my arm, her grip tight, steadying me as the room truly began to tilt. My what? The world spun. My adoption. It felt like a punch to the gut, winded me, left me gasping. "This can't be real." "You're not." Mom's voice wavered, finally breaking. "You're technically your Aunt Sarah's daughter. My sister. When she died in that car accident, when you were only 2 years old, we took you in. We never told you because we wanted you to feel like real family, Sophia. We loved you like our own. Aunt Sarah, my mother's younger sister, who I barely remembered, a ghost from my earliest childhood. My mother. My actual mother." Dad stepped forward, his face etched with a fake earnestness. "We loved you like our own, Princess. You were our daughter." "Stop." My voice was ice, cold and sharp, cutting through their carefully constructed narrative. "You love me like your own? Is that why you let me believe I was your biological child while knowingly withholding life-saving medical information from me? Information that wasn't actually genetic for me, because I'm not biologically related to you? Is that why you prioritized your biological daughter's paint color crisis, her financial whims, her every whim, while I paid her bills, cleaned her messes, and nearly died alone in a hospital? Because you loved me like your own." The crushing weight of this double betrayal, the layers of lies, hit me with dizzying force. "We didn't want you to feel different, Sophia," Mom protested, her voice rising in a desperate pitch. "We wanted you to feel completely accepted, a part of us. Different." I laughed, the sound harsh, devoid of any humor, even to my own ears. "You mean like how you treated me differently my entire life? Like how Hazel was always the golden child, the center of your universe, while I was the reliable, invisible backup, the one who always fixed things, never broke them?" Heavy footsteps on the stairs announced Hazel's arrival, of course, drawn by the commotion. Her face was a triumphant sneer. "Oh, good. She finally knows she's not really my sister. The truth comes out. I'm not." I turned to her, my gaze unwavering. Then I guess I'm not really responsible for you anymore, am I, Hazel? All those years of guilt, of obligation, of sacrificing my own dreams for yours, they never belonged to me, did they? They were never actually mine to carry. You ungrateful! Hazel started, lunging forward, but Mom cut her off, grasping her arm. We gave you everything, Sophia. Mom cried, her voice wailing, her tears now completely genuine, fueled by fear rather than performance. A home and education, opportunities that Sarah never could have given you. No, I interrupted, my voice steely calm. I earned those things, Mom. Every single one of them. While you were busy coddling your real daughter, I was working, striving, building a life for myself that you constantly tried to undermine. I built my own opportunities. I walked to the stairs, pushing past a stunned Hazel, then past my silent, defeated father. In my old room, remarkably untouched, I found the box I'd come for. Old photos, legal documents, a few cherished childhood memories. At the very bottom, wrapped carefully in tissue paper, was a small, tarnished frame. Inside was the last photo taken of Aunt Sarah, my real mother, holding me as a baby, a wide, loving smile on her face. A genuine smile. Downstairs, chaos erupted again, like a grotesque symphony. Hazel was screaming about inheritance rights, about how this changes everything, about how unfair it all was. Mom was sobbing about family loyalty and how I was tearing them apart. And Dad was trying, futilely, to talk over everyone about reasonable discussions. I descended the stairs with my box, holding the framed photo of Sarah close to my chest. The police officer, having heard the commotion, moved closer, his hand subtly resting on his sidearm. That's my baby photo album. Hazel shrieked, lunging for my box, her eyes wild. The officer stepped smoothly between us, blocking her path. Actually, I said calmly, my voice resonating with a newfound authority, these are Aunt Sarah's photos, my mother's photos. And this is a photo of my mother holding me. I'm taking what's mine and leaving what never was. All of it. You can't just walk away from this family. Mom grabbed my arm, her grip desperate, pleading. Sophia, please. We love you. I shook her off, gently but firmly. I'm not walking away from my family, Mom. I'm walking away from people who kept me around as a convenient backup plan, a financial resource, and a scapegoat. There's a fundamental difference. We'll sue. Hazel screamed, her face contorted. We'll take everything. You'll have nothing. Go ahead. I reached the front door, Camila already holding it open, a sliver of sunlight streaming in. But remember, Hazel, I have proof of financial fraud, medical neglect, and now proof that you and Mom and Dad knowingly withheld my adoption status while using it to manipulate me and control my life. Want to see how that plays in court? I doubt the judge who laughed at your conservatorship attempt will be quite as amused by this. Silence fell. A heavy, suffocating silence. I turned to them one last time, taking in their shocked, devastated faces. You know what's funny? You kept this secret all these years, thinking it would make me feel less like family, less worthy. But knowing the truth, it finally sets me free. I'm not your backup daughter. I'm not your ATM. I'm Sarah's daughter, and I'm done carrying your burdens. All of them. Camila opened the door wider, sunlight streaming in, bright and warm, illuminating the path forward. Ready? She asked, her voice soft, understanding. I clutched my box of real memories, the photo of Sarah a comforting weight against my chest, feeling lighter, more authentic than I had in years. Ready, I replied, a genuine smile finally gracing my lips. We walked out into the blinding sunlight, leaving the dark, crumbling shadows of their lies behind us forever. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with another furious lawsuit threat from Hazel's lawyer. Let them come. I had truth on my side now, and truth, I was learning, was the strongest weapon of all. The California sun streamed through my office window, painting warm stripes across my desk as I finished typing my last blog post. My heart, now steady and strong, kept perfect rhythm with the gentle clicks of the keyboard. And that's how I learned that family isn't about blood or obligation. I wrote, my fingers flying. It's about choice. Every single day, we choose who we let into our hearts, who we allow to shape our lives, and who we decide to walk away from. Sometimes, the bravest choice is to choose yourself. My phone lit up with Derek's call. The lawsuits are officially dismissed, Sophia, he announced, his voice beaming. All of them. The judge called them, and I quote, frivolous attempts at financial manipulation and transparent harassment. They didn't stand a chance. How's Hazel taking it? I asked, a sense of detached curiosity. Not well. Have you seen the tabloids? I pulled up the latest headline on my laptop. Socialite's public meltdown goes viral. My sister ruined my life, cries Hazel Wells. The attached video showed Hazel, disheveled and wild-eyed, throwing drinks at paparazzi outside a high-end Manhattan restaurant. She's trending again, I said, a wry smile playing on my lips. Definitely not the kind of fame she wanted, but fame nonetheless. Speaking of trending, Mom had sent yet another email. The subject line read, "Your father's birthday, it's just not the same." Inside was a carefully chosen photo of our last family vacation before everything imploded, a picture-perfect facade of happiness. Below it, she'd written, "We miss you so terribly, Sophia. Can't we just go back to the way things were? Please." I clicked delete, the message vanishing into the digital ether, along with the lingering power it once held. My doorbell rang, pulling me from my work. Camila stood outside with 2 steaming coffees and a small, elegantly wrapped package. "Special delivery from Derek," she announced, a knowing smile on her face, handing me the box. Inside, nestled in dark velvet, was my grandmother's ring, glinting softly. The one I'd sold for Hazel. The one Derek had rescued. But now it sat on a delicate new chain, transformed into a necklace. "Derek said you might want to wear it differently now," Camila explained, her eyes soft. "New meanings for new beginnings, right?" I fastened it around my neck, the cool metal a comforting weight over my heart, a symbol of reclaimed heritage and self-worth. Just as I clasped the necklace, my laptop chimed. A donation confirmation. I had just funded a year of cardiac screening for low-income families through my local hospital. The program was named after Sarah, my real mother. It was a tangible way to honor her, to prevent others from suffering the same medical neglect I had endured. "Your support group starts soon, Soph," Camila reminded me, glancing at the clock. "Ready." I nodded, logging into the video call where dozens of faces appeared on my screen. All people who'd found their own strength through my story, through my raw honesty. We weren't just healing ourselves. We were building something new, a community of resilience. "Welcome, everyone," I began, a genuine warmth in my voice. "Today we're talking about setting boundaries without guilt and how to reclaim your narrative." Halfway through the session, my phone buzzed discreetly. A text from Nicholas. "Thought you should know. Hazel's trying to sell a story to the tabloids about your adoption. Said she's the victim," he added. "But don't worry, I sent them the video of her admitting to financial fraud and being the real daughter instead. Consider it my final act of defiance." I smiled. Karma really was working overtime, and it was a beautiful thing to witness. Another email arrived, this time from Dad. The subject line made me pause. "I'm sorry. For what it's worth," he'd written, "I was wrong. We were all wrong. Not just about how we treated you, but about what family truly means. You're stronger than any of us ever were, Sophia. I see that now." For the first time, his words held no power over me. I didn't need his approval or his apology. I was no longer that girl desperate for her family's love, twisting herself into knots to earn a validation that would never come. The support group session ended with our usual affirmation. We choose ourselves today. We choose our peace. We choose our future. Camila pointed to my laptop screen. "Look at your blog comments, sophomore." Another one just popped up. A new message stood out, bold and heartfelt. "I left my toxic family today. Your story gave me courage. Thank you for showing me that walking away isn't giving up. It's growing up." I touched my grandmother's ring, now resting securely over my heart instead of weighing down my hand, no longer a burden but a legacy. "Ready for dinner?" I asked Camila, standing up, feeling vibrant and alive. "The new Thai place down the street has outdoor seating, perfect for this weather. Oh, and I invited someone from your cardiac support group. That writer who also survived family drama, you know the one? She seemed cool. Might be nice to expand our circle." Outside, The sunset painted the sky in magnificent colors no paint swatch could ever capture, a vibrant canvas of new beginnings. My phone buzzed one last time. Hazel, of course, posting another furious rant about family betrayal. I turned off notifications, silencing the last vestiges of their chaos, and smiled at Camila. You know what, Cam? I think I'm finally done carrying their stories. It's time to live my own. Truly live it. We walked toward the restaurant, my grandmother's ring catching the last rays of sunlight, sparkling with a quiet, fierce brilliance. Behind us, a stream of comments flowed on my blog post. You helped me find my voice. I'm choosing myself today. Thank you for showing us the way out. Revenge had brought me here, yes, but it wasn't what kept me standing. That came from something infinitely stronger. The power of choosing myself, of building a life where love didn't require sacrifice, where my worth wasn't conditional. My heart beat steady and true, no longer racing to please others or breaking under the weight of unwanted obligations. This was freedom. This was peace. And it tasted sweeter than any revenge ever could. Call to action. So, after hearing my story, I have to ask, have you ever been pushed to a breaking point with family or friends where you had to redefine what family truly means? What was your moment of clarity, and what did you do next to reclaim your life? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your journeys and how you found your own path to freedom.